And now, Deborah Kobylt Live.
Thank you so much, Kurt, for that introduction. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today for Deborah Kobylt Live. Got a great guest zooming in for us today, Faruq Tauheed. Thanks so much for being here, Faruq.
Absolutely, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
You are host of the coolest show. I love it. Roots Less Traveled on NBC. And for anybody who wants to know about their roots, this is my favorite, honestly. He travels everywhere to talk to different people about their roots, where they're from. And who doesn't want to know about this, right? I mean, but you've done a lot. You've also been in a Cold Case, The Shield, NCIS, New Girl. You do lots of voice animation. So we'll get into all that later. But first, let's talk a little bit about Roots Less Traveled. Tell us about the show.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Roots Less Traveled. It's an amazing show. I mean, and no better time than now, while everybody is kind of, quarantined with their families. It's a great family show. We take two family members that are distant for one reason or another. I like to say whether it's, time or space, because sometimes people are on one coast and on another coast, or, you can have distance in time where it's like a generational gap. Between our two members, like you see there, we got a great show where we take them, everybody in their family, you hear different stories that come down the line, different myths, different legends, and that's what we do. We help to dispel those legends or confirm them or deny them, whatever the case may be, and we take this family on what I like to call a genealogical treasure hunt, because we literally are uncovering some magical, valuable stuff for these families as we travel across the country and tell them about their family history.
Give us an example of a show that you did that really, really touched you in particular. They're all phenomenal, but I'd like to hear about it.
The one that stands out for me the most, and I guess mainly because it could be the personal connection with it, but also I think mainly for me is that I underestimated the feelings that I would have. I didn't think I would have any feelings going into this situation. When we went to Nashville with Sharon, with Cherie and Devon, the mother and son couple that we had together, we went to the Tennessee Supreme Court, and they had a case 4-4 that dealt with their family member, their ancestor, who was given land by the man who enslaved them, and then his original sons took them to court. Well, it was just very powerful, very emotional for me, because I didn't expect the story to go like it did. And the main part of that is when you had enslaved African Americans pre-Civil War that were going to court for land, and 5, 6, 7 times they were granted that land by white men, let's just say it, by white men pre-Civil War in the South. And that was mind-blowing to me, because I just had no idea that was part of our history.
Oh, absolutely. So you're telling me they were granted the land?
Yes. So the sons, so there was a gentleman,
wow.
There was a gentleman that enslaved their family, and it was a group of them, and he had 112 acres. He gave 1 acre to one of his sons, and the other 111 acres he gave to the enslaved African Americans they had.
Wow.
And his original sons took him to court for that land, and they lost every single time.
Unbelievable story.
Right?
What was that man's story, though? Were you able to get to that one? The landowner, the original landowner?
Well, no, not the original landowner, because Larkin Ford was the enslaved African American that was connected to this family. So that was the focus that we dealt with.
Right.
Going beyond his story, the case is definitely a landmark case, which is why they chose to focus on it at the Tennessee Supreme Court. So yeah,
it's absolute. Yeah, it's very exciting. And now I'm suddenly interested in the landowner. What motivated him to do that? I mean, did he just feel that what had happened in slavery was just horrible, so he wanted to at least do his part to make it better? You know what I mean? I'd love to hear a little from him, or his story rather, from his ancestors. But wow, see what it opens up, right?
Yeah, and one of the things that we did discover is that Tennessee was one of the last states to join the Confederacy at that time, and they were one of the first to get back out and to rejoin. So Tennessee was always kind of forward thinking. So I think there is something to that, to the landowner. One of the things that we did find out is that he kind of looked at the enslaved African Americans that he had. He kind of looked at them as more family to him than his own. They were there for him. They took care of him when he got his older age. And they said that, a lot of his sons and stuff went off and just kind of forgot about him. And that's one of the reasons why he kind of, geared towards this family so much.
That is a beautiful lesson, not just in humanity, but in history, right? The
Absolutely.
history of all people.
And
The
that's one of the great things
landowner,
about this
yeah,
show is going on these personal journeys, and you
yeah.
still get so much historical information as well.
You just pulled me in. I now want to go off and because that's the one show I did not see, and I've seen quite a few of them because I looked them all up. That's really exciting. So, how do you even do all the research for this? I know you have a whole team, right? But that's a lot of work. You've got to get the people behind the scenes who, they have to go, I guess, legally get documents. Can you tell me a little bit about the process?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the process, as far as like the actual research part, that's outside my jurisdiction.
Yeah,
I'm given all the information that they collect, and we have an
yeah,
amazing producer team as well as all the just I like to call them genealogical gurus over at
yeah,
Ancestry, because I mean, it takes hundreds and hundreds of hours to just do one family tree. So
yeah.
the amount of work that went into this, and we did 7 different stories. It was insurmountable. So yeah, they focus on they really fact checked everything from documents to registries to census. They just really do a thorough research job and make sure everything is all clean.
Now, this show has brought you many places, right? You've been to Tennessee. You've been where Cuba and Mexico City. Did it take you there as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Those
Tell
were
me
our
a little
two.
bit about those journeys. What were you
Yeah,
looking
those were
up
our
there
two
for people?
international stops: Cuba and Mexico City. But we also did Montana, Tennessee, as you mentioned. We did Nashville, Virginia, Brooklyn. We did Martha's Vineyard. So we went to all these other places. And one of the things that was great about this is that, kind of in like a 2.5, 3 week span, we did like 5 of those stops. So
Woo!
literally we were in and out, 2, 3 days in a city, and then we're in and out, and that was it.
Wow, that's exciting. How do people even got on the show? How do you even select them, or how do the producers select them?
So that was another thing that was, kind of already predetermined before I got into the part of the mix.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think they did a lot of social media sourcing, looking for people that had these stories, and probably also Ancestry probably pulled their own
Very true.
stories that,
Yeah.
probably popped up on their website as well.
I asked that because I'm sure people watching and listening are like, "Ooh, I'd love to be on a show like that. How can I figure it out?"
Yeah,
So I got you.
I got messages all in my inbox on social media. So yeah.
I'll bet. So is there another story you'd love to share? Because I think people find all this fascinating, but not only their own ancestry, but everybody else. Is there something else you'd love to share that really also impacted you?
Absolutely. I mean, I can tell you something that just, I mean, I'm getting chills a little bit thinking about it because
Oh,
I had something that happened in my own family around the
mm,
time that I started to shoot the show.
please.
So my cousin on my dad's side is married, and so the gentleman she married was my cousin by law. And this past October, he did a DNA test, and he found his birth father. Well, it turns out that his father, so his grandfather, and my grandmother are brother and sister.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow. Oh,
So
I'm
so
getting chills too. Oh, so I love
yeah,
this stuff.
so he was my cousin on my mom's side before he even married into my dad's side of the family. So there's nothing weird or crazy going on. It turns out that I had a cousin from my dad's side marry a cousin from my mom's side. Crazy.
Wow. How things have changed because we can learn about our ancestry, right? It's incredible.
Absolutely.
A very quick story. I had a friend and she did her DNA and then she only has one brother. And it came up that she has a niece. So, of course, she called her brother. She said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, I don't know. I don't have any kids. I've been married." And then he realized that when he was in college, he went to a sperm bank. And then, as it turns out, that he had a daughter, probably many daughters and sons, and they met. And she was raised beautifully. She lived in New York. She didn't want anything from these people, but she just was
Wow.
curious. Where am I from? So isn't that kind of amazing? So and now
That's
she's part of
amazing.
their family, all because he was trying to make a little extra money in college, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
I mean,
How
even like
crazy.
our first story when we went to Mexico City, we had Michelle and Rob. I mean, he was adopted.
Ah,
Yeah, so he met her 3 years ago through Ancestry, and yeah, and then we were able to cover their story because it had so much historical impact.
yeah. I went back and I found all of my family in Italy, but I'd love to go back further. I'm going to apply to the show. But tell me a little bit more. So this is on NBC, right? Roots
Yes.
Less Traveled. You're the host. You are fantastic. You put everybody. you're a fun host is what you are, but then
Oh,
you
thank
just
you.
want to tune in for more. So you're doing that. What else are you working on? Because you've done an awful lot. You're a guy from Philadelphia, right?
Absolutely. Born and raised in Philadelphia. I don't know if you can see some of the Eagles stuff I got behind me, my love sign. I represent
I
Philly
know.
everywhere I go.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I right now, with the whole COVID-19, a lot of things are, stay at home, a lot of things are on lock, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm not sitting right next to you right now having this conversation.
I know.
But,
I love sitting next to people because I just so connect with the energy, but I kind of feel the energy coming through our Zoom. So that's cool.
Yeah, the vibe. There you go. But yeah, so I know right now I would be getting ready for BattleBot season 5 to air. We were scheduled to start shooting in the first couple weeks of April. And of course we were postponed on that. So, hopefully we'll have a second season of Roots Less Travel to be shooting that I'll be working on, and BattleBot season 5 when we come back out of that, we'll be able to get that going for our fans. So that's what I'm working on.
You're the ring announcer for that, right?
Yes, I'm the ring announcer for BattleBots.
That's a fun job, right? To be the ring announcer. Tell me.
Listen, it's so much fun. For people who may not know, BattleBots is a robot fighting competition. And don't worry, it's not, geeky or nerdy or anything. I mean, we do have a lot of people from MIT that work there, but we have builders that, just, maybe have been a plumber at one time. So you don't have to be like super, super smart to build these robots. You just got to have a passion. And that's what all our builders have. They bring these robots together, they fight them. And just like in any fight, like, I would say I'm like the Michael Buffer or the Bruce Buffer of BattleBots. So I do all the announcing, and one of my favorite lines everybody loves when they hear me or they see me, they know what I say. It's robot fighting time. So that's what they get.
Oh wow! I got to get you to do like the voice for my show. That's really cool. Okay. You got a voice, that's right. But you do a lot, right? Well, tell me about the voiceover work that you do.
Yeah,
a lot of animation, right?
Yeah, voiceover work, animation. I've done Team Hot Wheels animated movies. I've been on We Bare Bears on Cartoon Network. I've done video games like BioShock Infinite and Mass Effect 3. So a lot of voiceover stuff. And that's the thing crazy is that voiceover and hosting are actually two things that I did not move out to LA to do. I added those on after, while I was still doing my on-camera TV and film acting and stuff. So
good money, and you obviously have a good agent if you added that, because that's not easy to get into, right?
Indeed, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely took me. I think once I did get my voiceover agent, it probably took me about 3 or 4 years before I started, working consistently in voiceover. So
you're a guy out of Philadelphia. When did you come out here to pursue your dream, and did you always want to be an actor?
I always wanted. I feel like I always wanted to be a basketball player or an accountant, and a basketball player is
wait. A basketball player and an accountant, and you ended up an actor. I'm not standing next to you though. How tall are you? Could you have done it?
I'm 6'1".
Okay.
So
point guard.
I would have been a point guard, right? A guard, right? So so I wanted to be a basketball player, and I want to be an accountant because my dad was an accountant. Plus, I like numbers. I love counting. I love money. I love dealing with all that kind of stuff.
I do too.
But yeah, I think it was my mom. It was my mom who knew, I guess, the path that I was supposed to go on, because she forced me to take acting classes. I mean, I grew up in the hood of Philadelphia, and I had to wear leotards and tights, and that didn't go over too well. That didn't go over too well in the hood. You know what I mean? So.
That is too funny. So you'd show up in the hood in your little leotards. Okay, now what are they saying?
Or they knew I was wearing it. I necessarily didn't wear it in the hood, but they knew I was wearing it. But that's one of the great stories that I love, right? It's about, not judging book by a cover. Because after we talk about how I got to LA, I went to school in New York after high school. I went to college in New York.
Where'd you go?
I was there in the mid-90s, and I'd be wearing all my baggy clothes, headphones on, baggy clothes. People probably thought I was a thug or something. 8 o'clock in the morning on the subway train, but little did they know that underneath all those baggy clothes, I was wearing a leotard, tights, and a dance belt because I was on my way to ballet class.
You got to do what you got to do, right? I'm envisioning you on the subway with your little leotards, and you look like this tough guy on the subway, because we talked about it. I'm from back east as well.
Exactly.
And, I kind of lived in not the greatest area in kind of north near Washington Heights. And at the time, kind of the same time when you were there, it wasn't really the greatest area, but that's how you get around, and if you're going to be a guy like you got to kind of hide your leotards under your clothes. So that's very,
so I moved to LA right after college. Hours after college, actually 6-7 hours after college. After graduating college, I moved to LA.
Why? Why didn't you stay there to do some work? Because obviously more commercial work is here, right? And if that's a little more theater in New York.
Well, yeah, New York is definitely more theater. LA is more TV and film. But so, everybody the cool thing was being a triple threat where you can dance, you can sing, and you can act. Well, I could do two of the three. I could dance and I can act. But singing was not going to work for me. So that's why I had to head to the left coast because Broadway wasn't going to work.
I love that. That's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about your family. Now, I know you're from Philly, but going a little far back, did you trace it as far back as you could where you're all from?
Well, I was able to trace back. I'm still stuck and having a little trouble on my mom's side of the family. But one of the things that's great about Ancestry.com is that it can kind of be like a crowdsourcing family tree experience where I kind of there was somebody who's related to my family kind of already went ahead and did a lot of my dad's side of the family. So I was able to go back and see as far back as like names and stuff that back to my 4-time and 3-time great grandmothers and grandfather, which was crazy because I didn't even know my grandfather or never had to meet them. So be able to put names to a great grandfather and a third great grandfather and a fourth, it was just amazing.
And where were you from?
So
were you mixed just from everywhere, or where are you from?
Yeah, so I mean, like a lot of African Americans in this country, we kind of originate from the South. Being able to go back before the passage over here is probably a little difficult because the records and stuff weren't kept. They tried to erase our names and our heritage as much as possible. So doing that is a little crazy, but I can go back to the South and see the journey come up to Pennsylvania and New York. Like I said, Philadelphia, where I'm from. I did do the Ancestry DNA, and on their latest update, it did kind of trace my lineage through my blood, my DNA, to over 50% in Nigeria.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really neat. That makes you feel, even though you're having a tough time really tracing it back, gives you a real idea of who you're from. And, I often think in thousands of years from now, it'll be obviously easy for people at least to trace back to this time because we're on it. But so much before all this is a mystery, right? And I'm a little bit of a mutt, but mostly my people are from southern Italy. And people, as they were crossing and coming over there probably to trade, whether it was from Greece or northern Africa, they made their way through. But I'm kind of from a little collection area there. But I loved finding that out as well. So you are on season, which season is this of Roots Less Traveled?
This is our first season, our inaugural season. This is the launch right here. So we got 8 episodes. Our episode 7 is coming up this weekend. So yeah. And all episodes prior to, I know you want to catch up as well. Feel free to check them out on NBC.com and the NBC app. We got all the episodes up and available.
That's where I watch many of the shows. It's really worth getting caught up and watching those because I got very much swept into people's stories. And again, you say you have 2 more left. Before I let you go, can you tell me a little bit more about any of the 2 episodes that are coming up to tease them?
Absolutely. So in our final episode, we head to Martha's Vineyard. We deal with a brother and sister who are they're a great brother and sister. They just have been distant through time. I think she's probably like 8 or 9 years older than him, if I'm not mistaken. So they kind of when you have that kind of discrepancy in ages, kind of grow up differently. So it's going to be really interesting to see their stories and how they experience their childhood. We actually go to Martha's Vineyard, which is a place where they go every year. At least twice a year, they go to Martha's Vineyard and spend a lot of family time there. But when we take them to Martha's Vineyard, we show them a side of Martha's Vineyard like they have never seen before. So
really?
It's really interesting because it's one of the things like you think you've seen everything. Oh, I've been there. My family's been going there for years. But the way we showed them and talk to them about Martha's Vineyard and show them what's there, the history, they'll next time they go back, it'll never be the same. So we'll look forward to that. And then our final episode is kind of like a best of. All our episodes are so short. That's a lot of things I'm getting from our fans, that the episodes are so short. They want more.
Yeah,
and,
very interesting.
In our final episode, we'll be able to give you a lot of bits and pieces of fun stuff that we did along the way.
Oh, that's very exciting. So, okay, how have you been keeping busy during this time of COVID-19? And what have you been doing that you find that has been positive since all this time of quarantining and self-isolating and all?
I think just taking some time to sit back and just, learn the world in a new way. learn how we can navigate and do things differently. One of the things that's come out of this for me is that I've been able to connect with my family. Like every Friday and Tuesday, we kind of do like a family Zoom, and we get anywhere from 10 to 20 of my family members that all
Wow.
pop on, and we all kind of just. But it's something that we've never done, and we never probably would have done had this not happened. So that's one of the ways I'm staying busy, and the other way is talking to great people like you, doing interviews and being able to talk about Roots Less Travel.
Yeah, I love this show, guys. Please watch it. And I agree with the whole Zoom thing, right? I've got all my Italian relatives back in New Jersey, and we got them all piling on one by one. And I
Right.
think we're going to keep it up. I
Got
really
to.
do. I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful. It's a wonderful, there's a lot of positives. Should we be fortunate enough to have our health, right? There's a lot of
Absolutely.
positives that are coming out with during this time. And one of them, yes, is talking to you and learning more about Roots Less Travel. People, please really watch it this weekend and the following, and catch up, like you said, on what is it, NBC.com.
NBC.com and NBC app. Yep.
Yeah, on the NBC app. Roots Less Travel, very, very interesting. It might even spark an interest in your own heritage. And Ancestry.com. That's what we used when we wanted to go pretty far back. I thought that they were very comprehensive, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, they were great.
Hopefully this show. I think that's the thing. Hopefully this show will inspire everyone to really, really learn about their family history and do it for a time like now. You know, we have a lot of older people in our lives, and unfortunately, Corona showed that they won't be around for long. So
That's
definitely
right.
talk to them now. Talk to everybody now. Get all the stories out. Fill out the census. So just like you said, Deborah, thousands of years from now, the records will all be there.
Yeah. And it connects us all. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely.
It just connects us all. Faruq, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed talking to you. If there's anything else you want to add before we let you go, again, Roots Less Traveled, everybody. And also, let's not forget Battle Box. I think that's just so much fun.
Absolutely,
And
Battle
really
Box on Discovery when we get back for our 5th season. Roots Less Travel, NBC. We got 2 more episodes. Check us out. Look for your local listings. Times vary across the nation. And if you want to keep up with me, I'm at Faruq Adelphia on all social media platforms.
On all social media. Very easy to find you, too. So thank you so much. And a shout out to your wife as well. I know she's an actor.
Yeah, she's working hard as well.
Yeah, give her my best. And just thanks for being here. And everybody else, please tune in. It is a great show. It's one of those where I can't wait to see it again, and then I'll go back and I'll watch it on the app. So Roots Less Travel this weekend, following weekend, NBC. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate all of you tuning in to Deborah Kobylt Live. You can find us every place, on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, and every audio podcast platform you can name. We'll be there. Deborah Kobylt Live. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.